I'm glad we're doing this.
Yeah. So after the deep dive last week, and this is on me, I mentioned it on my Tuesday deal, the live show I have. You mentioned the Doug Wolfgang crash. It was April 3rd, 1992, Lakeside Speedway. And people wanted to hear about that. And for some reason, I don't know if I just blanked out on it last week or whatever. So I wanted to have you on to talk about this. And I know, and some safety in the years after that event, so on and so forth. So, Steve, I think that when this happened, were you in the same session, or were you in the pit area when this happened? Where were you kind of located when Wolfgang, I guess he hit a Uke tire on the inside?
I was right across the racetrack from the Utah tire on the outside. So this is a pretty delicate subject. I haven't really talked to a lot of people in depth about this, but it's been over 30 years, and there's a lot of stuff, a lot of misconceptions, a lot of stuff that wasn't factual that came out, and I just kept it buried all the time because I knew the truth. And so, if we're going to do this, let's just back up and walk through it.
Floor is yours. Go ahead.
Fortunately, one thing that really helped me through this whole ordeal was I've been a firefighter for about 10 years before this, and an EMT, and I've been through a lot of training, a lot of scenarios, but we went to Lakeside and on a practice day, and I wasn't getting around real good. They had a practice and they had a break. We had a press conference, and I ended up sitting next to Doug in the press conference. We were visiting a little bit, and I told him, I said, man, I'm just not getting around good. There's something I ain't got figured out yet. And I was in the first session after the press conference, and he said, well, I'm in the second session. He says, come up and watch me and watch my car. And I said, all right. So I got out, went up, and standing right outside turn 4, right there where you go on the track. And I watched Doug, and he was rolling around pretty good. And he got held up behind some slow cars, and they were kind of side by side in front of me. Couldn't get by him, and you see he was getting frustrated. So when they dropped the checker, they slowed down. Doug pulled out and took off for a hard lap because he hadn't really got a good lap in. And down into 1 and 2, down the back section, you come into 3 and 4 hard. And, the car skated just a little bit, but it got his nose down, and his left front hit that big Uke tire. And the car, he hit it, and the car went up, the front end come off the ground, and when it slammed down, his foot hit the throttle, and he went straight 3/4 angle straight into the fence, wide open. And when he hit the fence, I knew he was hurt because it sounded like an IndyCar crash. I've been in Indy and heard him hit the wall. It was that loud, just that thud, the metal breaking, the engine screaming for a few seconds. And as soon as he hit it, then the car just started sliding down the track. And I just instinctively ran over and jumped on my quad. I was going down the track. And as I got down the track, I could see a small fire under the fuel tank area. And I thought, okay, no big deal. It's just a little fire. Let's go up and make sure he's okay. And there was one guy in firefighting gear, bunker gear, like from a fire department, come running out, had a small extinguisher, and he stuck it right down in the fire about, 1.5 feet away, and pulled the trigger, and it blew fuel everywhere. And it went from a small fire to a huge fire immediately. And it's like, I screamed at him to stop, because you're just pushing the fuel around. And he got up there, and, he was on fire everywhere inside the car, and he was slumped over. And the first thing I tried to do, I didn't have my gloves on, I didn't have a helmet on, nothing, because I was just there watching him practice. I tried to get the steering wheel off, and by then the quick release was already so hot, and I reached in and grabbed it and instantly burned my fingers, and I couldn't get the steering wheel loose. It was jammed. The quick release was jammed. It wouldn't come loose. And, there's no fire extinguishers. They had 2 guys. The honest truth is they had 2 guys on duty that day. One of them was from the fire department. Another one was a friend of his that came out, and he had a driver's suit on. Neither one of them had gloves. Neither one of them had head protection. And there's just a couple small extinguishers, and those were dumped quickly. And Art Melee's from Working Woody, he was right on the scene too, and he brought the fire extinguishers he had over there, and the fire was just growing because on the asphalt we had to run full belly pans because they didn't want any oil leaks getting on the track. Well, full belly pan goes clear back behind the seat, and I guess they determined later that it broke the fuel filter inside the car when he hit the wall. I don't know if his leg hit it or something, but his fuel filter. So he had probably a 3/4 inch line just dumping raw fuel right into the belly pan, and he's basically sitting in a pan of burning fuel. And I mean, it was all around him, up around his arms, his legs, up over the dash. I mean, the main fire was inside the cockpit, and there's no fire extinguishers. It turned into chaos quickly. And Mark Kinzer had enough time, put his helmet on and stuff, and he's heading out. His dad, Mark told me later, his dad told me, he said, tell him to hook the tow truck and get him out of the fire, out of the puddle. He's on fire this whole time. We're trying to get him out. We're trying to pull the seat back. Tow truck backed up to him and hooked onto the front bumper and started dragging the car down the track. I mean, I still remember his body's just bouncing in the car. We had the seat belts undone. It drug him out of the big pool of fire, and I went back inside and I was trying to pick him up out of the seat, and I could see the fire following the trail of fuel right up the track. And now when it hit this time, it really went up. And I mean, I was on fire. My pants were getting burnt in my face, and I had to bail out of it. And remember Roger Lee's camp was right there, and he was on his hands and knees with the rag trying to put my legs out because the fuel was on my legs and they were burning. And I finally, somebody gave me a head sock to put on, and I asked one of the fire guys because he was just standing there. I said, give me your gloves. He refused to give me his gloves. Somebody else, I don't know who it was, threw me a pair of gloves to put on. And Mark was on one side of the car. By now there's several people that was around the car, and it's pretty chaotic. They're all yelling for we need fire extinguishers or something. And we went back in, and I was able to get the seat pulled back. Doug always ran Hunt seats, and Hunt seats are a single layer seat. They weren't the double wraparound seats. I mean, they were fairly thin, lightweight seat. So we were finally able to pull the seat back on the left side and get under his arms and pull him out. I had read in one of the articles that when the crash happened, that they called it in and said, be on standby. We've got a bad wreck out the racetrack. And when they radioed in that we have the driver out of the car, was nearly 7 minutes, and the car's on fire the whole time. It was at the point that they couldn't get the flag stand open because it was locked. But it was at the point where there were people bringing bags of ice out of the concession stand, throwing them to the flagman or whoever's up in the flag stand. He was throwing the bags of ice, and the people were throwing the ice on the car, trying to put the fire out to get him out. He sat in the fire that long. It was hideous. We got him out and took him over and laid him down on the ground. And I mean, the scene was like, it was like being in a horror movie.
Take your time.
And he was laying there on the ground, and his whole body, he had a black driver's suit to begin with. His helmet was burnt. The shield was melted in on his face, and there was just smoke coming up from his whole body. And being an EMT, I said, give me some saline, get me some scissors. And I said, get his airway open. So the other guy that was with the ambulance was working on his face, trying to get the shield off and working on his helmet. And I took the scissors, and I could see that his suit was burnt through on one knee, and it was burned really bad around his ankle. And I started cutting the suit off, and fortunately back then he wore the Design 500 suits, were really some of the best you could buy. And he cut the suit. I started cutting the suit off all the way up to his crotch. And I remember looking, and he had his Nomex underwear on. I was like, thank God he had his underwear on, because it would have been worse. And I thought, man, it looks good. And then I cut the underwear off, and the flesh and stuff just literally slid off his shins. It just come off his legs. And I knew he was in trouble. And, I knew he had to get the heat out because it was just going to continue to cook him. So it packed his legs all the way up, his crotch area, everything, just packed it completely full of ice. And they finally got his helmet off, and I could see his nose was burnt, his face was burnt. I know one finger was burnt really bad. I could see it in his hand. And, when I was cutting the pants off, his suit off, I remember looking up, and his wife was standing there, and she was 8.5 months pregnant at his head, stamping her feet, just screaming. And I could hear when I'd step back from the car, my legs were on fire and Roger was on the ground trying to put the fire out on my suit. I could hear she was stamping her feet, screaming, somebody get him out, for God's sakes, get him out of the car. It's like, I was scared at that point. I never really get scared because that's one thing they teach as a fireman, think, don't panic, always keep your cool. I got scared because I thought we weren't going to get him out then, and just had to go back in. And once I got his legs, I packed him in ice, and they were trying to get oxygen and stuff on. The helicopter landed then, and he did start to move his legs a little bit, which was a good sign because I knew that at least there's no paralysis, and the fact that he had some feeling and some stuff like that. And they loaded him on the gurney and put him in the helicopter, and they took off out of there with him. And I was just kind of in shock because I really thought he was going to die. I mean, I've been around a lot of burn victims in my life, and I've seen a lot of people that's been burnt that never made it through it. And he was burned as bad or worse than any of them that ever survived. And then I realized, I had second and third degree blisters on my hands and fingers, and I know my leg was burnt. And so they wanted to take me to the hospital and get me dressed up. And I was in there, and I talked to one of the doctors, and they just said, the next 24 hours is going to be really important for him. And, I was pretty upset to have to. It bothered me because that could have been me. It could have been anybody, but it was a friend. And I'm thinking, I was a pretty big guy. I was always, in the 220, 230 range. And so I called my dad. My dad was a firefighter also back home there. And you didn't have the internet or nothing back then. And I called him and I said, hey, I just want you to hear this from me before the rumors get out. And I said, there's a bad one today. And I said, I got burnt. I said, I'm fine. They got me bandaged up. I'm good. But I said, Dad, I've never seen anybody burnt this bad that lived. And I was pretty upset. And I got a ride back to the hotel, and it really set in that night. I just sat on the edge of my bed and bawled. I mean, I couldn't help it, just because, if that had been me, they'd have never got me out of the car. Doug was, I'm guessing he was, I don't know, back then, 160, 175 pounds maybe. But I fill the cockpit up a little bit more, and I just, if that would have been me, I'd have been dead. And as the days went on, and of course we're fighting pneumonia, and I was staying in touch with everything. And I did talk to his wife at the hospital, and of course she was pretty upset that night. And she came up and gave me a hug and just said, thank you for all you tried to do out there. And it's like, man, I just praying that this guy is going to make it. And, once he got to about the third day, I knew his odds were getting in his favor at that point. And I can tell you right now, probably the sole reason that Doug Wolfgang survived that was because he was in extremely good physical condition. I mean, I watched the guy go out there and do 500 sit-ups by the poolside, and he's the one that taught me doing jumping jacks for, upper body strength and conditioning. And, he'd do 1,000 jumping jacks a day, and he'd run. I mean, the guy was incredible physical condition. That's probably why he survived that deal.
Welcome to another edition of the SprintCarUnlimited.com live show. Happy holidays to everyone. This is our last live show for 2025, so let's make it a good one. Obviously, not a ton going on to talk about, but I'm sure we can come up with some things. You had, obviously, the High Limit International event over Perth Motorplex, which seemed to be watched by a lot of people in the States. The timing wasn't bad. The features came on at 8 a.m. or in and around that area. Not a lot of news going on, but we did have a Billy Dietrich release today, as far as he did about an 19 minute video on Central PA racing with time trials versus handicapping. That was kind of the bulk of it. And if you want to talk about that, it seems like a lot of eyes got on that. I know Justin Fiedler came back today. We'll be back with our 90 at 9 on Monday, unless something happens in the meantime. And all right, we're going to jump right in and kick things off. What were your thoughts on the 3 nights of High Limit International? I thought it was good. It made me want to go to Perth, even though that's a 16-hour trip on a flight or whatever that I have no desire to sit on a plane that long. I thought the racing was good. I thought it's no surprise with the winners, all California guys. Could be a 90 at 9 next week. Thought it was run well. I think I would like to see. I guess I'd like to see more from Perth. You know, a lot of guys, whether it was Buddy Kofoid or Kyle Larson, said how, Larson said quickly becoming his favorite facility to race at. Buddy said top 3 easy. I think it was good for showcasing Australian racing. I think you had a couple Australians do really well, which I think that helps. I think that helps the product in trying to sell that thing. And it wasn't just dominated by guys in the States. So I think that was good. And I really have no complaints whatsoever about it. I thought it was a good program. It looks like this thing's going to stick around. And I read the story by Lee Spencer on Flow, where how much it brings into the economy, how much, just kind of the ins and outs of the event and how they hope it goes past a 3-year deal. So I think it's all positive at this point. And I really have nothing but good things to say about what I've seen being over here. Kyle Larson wins 2 in a row, Perth, Australia. Now hopefully wins the Chili Bowl again. He has to be one of the favorites. I didn't think he would get the win over there because of the way the first couple nights started. I thought Buddy was strong. Buddy, he even alluded to it in the interview. He just picked the wrong line on a restart. Corey Day blowing a tire also helped Kyle a little bit. And then once Kyle found the rubber, it was over. But look, that's, Kyle, we've said this many times, he catches breaks too. And we don't know how good Corey, if Corey could have beat him there or if Buddy kind of makes a different decision, but that's not what played out. Kyle gets a second one. It's roughly $73,000 in change with the exchange rate. And yes, definitely one of the favorites at the Chili Bowl, if not the favorite. Flow Racing interview with Callum Williamson says he'll be returning to the States this summer, specifically PA. Your thoughts? I like it better this time around, I think, for a couple of reasons. Number one, he seems like he's going to have his own stuff, which I think there's a familiarity with that. So I think that's a positive. The other thing is he's seen Pennsylvania now. He's been here. He's raced here. I think that automatically is going to make him better this time around than the first time. Now, I'm not saying he's going to win. I'm not saying that, he's going to come over here and do as well as he does at Perth. I think that's a tall order. However, I do think it'll be better than the last time because again, equipment and also he's already seen these tracks. So I think it's good. I think it adds interest to Central Pennsylvania and really anywhere he goes. So again, nothing bad to say about it. It's good for the area. Anytime you can get invaders in, I think it helps with getting fans through the gate. And if he can do well, a couple shows, it's only going to make it that much better. Have you read the Kinzer book? I just finished it, and it's good. Also recommend the Doug Wolfgang book. I've read the Doug Wolfgang book. I've not gotten to the Steve Kinzer book yet. It's on my to-do list. I got a couple of books over the holidays, and some of those are taking precedent right now. But yes, I will definitely read the Steve Kinzer book. I have no doubt it's good. Dave Argabright does a fantastic job with these books. Again, like I said, I read the Doug Wolfgang book. I thought it was great. And it helps that I'm a Doug Wolfgang fan, but still I have no doubt that he did a good job. So anxious to read it, and then I'll let you guys know what I think. Billy Dietrich put out a video today discussing Central PA and the lack of handicap shows. Any thoughts on this? I have a couple thoughts on it. I was actually listening to it before we went on air here. I've heard probably 14 minutes of it. I have about 5 minutes to go. I think he brings up some good points, but I also think there's some things that are being left out. I agree that the handicap show, is something that probably shouldn't go away in Central Pennsylvania. I too share the same concerns that he would, that guys will just feel they don't have a chance and then bug out. You can't run 15-car fields. That's not going to work, or 20-car fields. However, let's address the big problem. I don't necessarily, the two things, first off, the problem. The problem's a parity in the sport. The problem is the box everybody's in. Change the problem. Fix the problem. We can talk about formats all day long. If you have 14 different winners at a track, I don't necessarily think that's great. If the racing's bad, it's bad. Now, first off, I also don't think time trial shows are bad all the time. I've seen some pretty good shows, time trial shows in this area. Baps, Port, I've seen them at Lincoln. So the idea that all time trial shows are follow the leader, I think that was kind of the wrong message, because he said, let's face it, time trial shows follow the leader, a lot of them. Now, I don't agree with that. However, he is hitting on something that I do agree with, which is, we can't just go, whether it's perception or not, perception becomes reality. These lower teams got to feel like they're being listened to. They have to feel like they're not being left behind, or they might get out of it. And that's a real concern. I wish the sport would fix some of the problems with the cars. I'm a big dish wing guy. Which I've talked to many teams about that and how that could fix some of the problems. No matter what format you have, you got to have comers and goers. If you're starting guys 12th, then you better have a package with the car, and you better have a track surface where you can allow those guys to get to the front. So I don't think it's as simple as, hey, we need more handicap shows. I just don't buy that. I think the parity in the sport needs to be dealt with from the standpoint of the cars themselves, so you can pass more, the dirty air problem, however you want to slice it, it needs to be dealt with. So I think that's the first thing. Again, I don't think the racing's horrible like everybody says. I just don't buy that. But good points. He made good points. It'll get people thinking. Hopefully it gets people thinking, and we can fix some of those problems. Jeremy, who had Rico running as bad as he did? I didn't pick him in a pool. Ricky Warner wasn't there. I didn't know. I was a little skeptical about how well he'd do. I knew Buddy would do well. He took his team down there minus one guy. Larson, I mean, come on. We know what's going to happen there. And so Corey Day in a Williams, in a Callum Williamson car, that car is always good at Perth. So I didn't think he'd do that bad, but I didn't expect him to win either. So it was kind of a mixed, I didn't think he'd do that bad, but it was just wasn't a good weekend. How was your holiday? It was good. Anytime I can spend time with my daughter, it's good. And, she actually, it's actually behind me up on the thing right there. If you see it, it's the autographed rookie card for Ed Belfour. So that was kind of nice that she was able to get that for me. I thought that was great. I'm a big Ed Belfour guy. He's the Hall of Fame goalie from the Chicago Blackhawks. So, it was very thoughtful. So, it was good. Holidays were good. And I hope everybody else's, were as well. I saw a I figured I'd get this. I saw a fuel tank come loose over the fence at Perth and a couple of hubcaps come off. Are they using the new tank mounted rules? I doubt it. But, when I saw that, my first thought wasn't, are they using any kind of new tank rules as far as the mounting bolts? My thought was, okay, it's Australia. They have a governing body. They're going to look into it and make the right call or make the right decisions. And that's just going to be the way it is. The drivers aren't going to get a say in it. There's not going to be this uproar on the internet. It's going to be decided. So I have no doubt they'll fix the problem. Whatever it is, I'm not 100% sure if they were using the 6. I kind of doubt it. I think Sprint Hub did a great video. It has about 70,000 views. That Toby, his name is, I guess, did a thing, the differences between the American sprint car and the Australian sprint car. I thought it was very well done. Check it out. But I'm not sure on the mounting bolts, but I have no doubt that the Aussie governing body will take care of it. Have you been keeping up with any of the Australian 410 races that have been going on? Yes. Like I said, I have been keeping up with it. 2 most impressive guys all week. A few of them. Obviously, Buddy Kofoid and Corey Day. And how about Dane Kingshot? He had the best average finish of the week for the 3 days of Perth as part of the High Limit International event. It was a 2.6. Him and Buddy I think they're the only drivers who had all top 5s. Kingshot was all top 3s. So good. I mean, really good stuff. And they need that. I think they need Australians to contend and be near the front. I think if you're going to develop any kind of rivalry or where you kind of spark that, Aussie versus, United States, the Aussies got to do well. Both sides got to do well. And Kingshot carried the banner well this past week. If you were starting a hockey team, would you rather have a 20-year-old McDavid or a 19-year-old Celebrini? That might be the toughest question I ever get on this show. I watch them both frequently, and they're both amazing players. McDavid's the better player now. Man, that's tough. That is tough. I'm going to take Celebrini because of the age. I don't know if Celebrini will be as good as McDavid, but you're just going to have him more time. Now, if you're getting into contracts and all that other, if I could guarantee having McDavid for 8 years, and hockey players are playing longer now. I saw Jonathan Taves last night was playing for Winnipeg. He's 37. So if I can get 8 years out of both players at that current age, I'm taking McDavid. If I'm guaranteed to have them for their careers, I'm taking Celebrini. They're both magnificent players. If you're a hockey fan, I mean, you can't. I just think McDavid is. I think he's the best guy in hockey. I think he's the best player in hockey, no doubt about it. Another offseason event for Flo. This one obviously included High Limit. How long does WRG continue to sit on the sidelines with Flo continues growing and taking advantage of these offseason months? I think people forget that the World of Outlaws went down to Australia a few times. Now, it went away, and I would like to know why it went away. And it's something that I'm currently asking around about. Look, as I say about these off-season events, there's got to be, you can't race all year round. You can't. You can't do it. And the reason is because the way the ordering chain is going now with parts and cars and engines, you've got to have time to replenish the stock. You've got to have time for these teams to build cars. You can't be racing all through the off season. And the other thing is, okay, let's say WRG wants to do, let's say the Outlaws want to do something. When are you having it? Because you have SEMA show, you have PRI, then you have the Australian deal, and then you get past the new year. Well, you're only 4 weeks away from Dirt Car Nationals. So I just don't think there's a wide range of dates you could have something like that. And let's not forget, Winter Heat went away. The Slick 50 went away. It didn't, obviously it wasn't profitable, or it would still be going on. So I don't think Flo, look, I think it's great that they're in Australia. I think it helps Australia a lot. I think it promotes the Australian guys when they come over here. I think if Dane Kingshot comes over here, everybody's going to know who he is. And that's, that's a big positive. But I don't think it hurts the World of Outlaws. And the other thing is, again, I'd say we have a lot of hurdles to cross to have off-season events. That wasn't just in reference to 410 racing flows, late models, 410. Yeah, no, I get it. And that's a good point. But I mean, I don't think you're going to see extreme midgets. And look, sorry, my phone rang. It's the contracts are what they are. I mean, and the Outlaws don't have any of those. They don't have any of those races. So what do? You're going to have to put on a race of your own. And at that rate, again, that's money. That's a problem. So what else do we got? Could we ever see David Gravel make the trip over to Perth? His name was dropped twice over the 3 days of the event. I mean, he has a newborn. I wouldn't rule it out. I wouldn't say he won't go over. I think it's just the way things have fallen lately. I mean, he just did have a newborn. I don't think he wants to be away from his child. I think that was a big part of it. But yeah, I think there's a time when we'll see David Gravel run over there. Who are your breakout drivers for High Limit and World of Outlaws drivers as far as next year or this year? The year that I'll do both just to cover it. I don't know why my father called. He knows I'm doing the show. He should know. This year, Garrett Williamson. I thought Garrett Williamson. I had Schoenberg winning Rookie of the Year because he was on a national tour before. I was wrong. And then Garrett Williamson grabbed that and handily at the end. So I think Garrett Williamson, this showed how good, how much he's developed in a short time in a 410 sprint car. So I think Garrett Williamson was good this year. I think Bill Balog increasing from 1 win to 3 wins this past season was big. As far as next year with the Outlaws, Ashton Torgerson's a guy I'm going to keep my eye on. There's a lot of experience with Jacob Allen being on the road, and he's been with the World of Outlaws before. So I would look for Ashton Torgerson to be a guy who maybe makes a little bit of noise. I think it's going to be rough sledding. He hasn't seen a bunch of those tracks, but I could see him at the end of the year turning some heads. High limit this past season, Dason Persley, obviously, I think he was really getting a lot better at the end. Next year, they just don't have a lot of new drivers, but I would watch for Cy Lynch to be better. I think bringing in Heath Moyle is going to help the organization of that team. I think he obviously a lot of road experience. So next year, I would say Cy Lynch. Are there any rules or procedures or really anything from Australian sprint car racing that would bring over that you would bring over the States? Yeah, a governing body. I'd bring everything over. I think they do a lot of things better. I think they get stuff done. I think there's a standard that you have to follow to host races. I would bring a lot of what they have over. I'd bring their package over. Look at the racing. How many bad races have you seen in Australia? Not many. So at least the ones that we've seen, I'm sure they have some. But again, they have dish wings, and I like that. They have 3 tires you can use. I like that. The front wing can be wider. There's a little innovation there. You can do some different things. I don't think crew chiefs are in a box so much. And then just the overall running of the sport. I think one governing body gets stuff done. And here it wouldn't be hard to do. All you do is have a national governing body. Then you have regions under them with a representative from each region reporting to up the line. To me, it's not like we have a ton of regions in sprint car racing. So there's a lot of things I would bring over. Who wins? Steelers, Ravens. Good question. I don't know who's playing yet, but I do know this. If the Ravens don't win, heads are going to roll because the Steelers are missing TJ Watt, DK Metcalf because he's stupid, and then they're missing big tight end Washington, and I think they're missing a lineman as well. Those 4 guys probably aren't playing. DK won't, and Washington definitely won't. I don't know about TJ Watt. The only guy who might not play for the Ravens is Lamar Jackson. And if you watched the Ravens last week, they didn't miss him. So if the Ravens don't win, it's a major problem. Considering the rosters, considering, the current state of the team, the Steelers are going into that game a little outmanned. So, Tom on line 1. Tom, how are you?
Yeah, I was listening to Billy Dietrich there. I agree with him 100%. And I think something else they need to do here is we need to have purses in the 410s like like the past sprints, where the winner only gets maybe 100 or 200 more than the rest of the guys. They all get like, whether you're second or fifth, you only get like 500,
Yeah,
whatever it is. I don't know.
Yeah, but how are you going to pay for a $70,000 motor then?
You're not going to have a $70,000 motor. That's the problem.
That cat's out of the bag.
The problem
and
is
it's never going back.
the problem are these motors. These guys around here, a lot of these guys that are on the World of Outlaws. I mean, I don't know what companies are at, but I bet you they're traded on the stock market.
Well,
There's nothing for those guys to go buy 5 motors.
yeah,
And these people that make motors and sprint car components, they know it. If they know somebody's got the money, I mean, greed is just the way normal people are. People are normally greedy. You may not agree with that.
No, look, it's not about.
But
I agree.
these guys that have this money, that's nothing for them to go buy these motors. It's nothing.
Well,
And these guys around here can't do it.
Well, first off, there isn't a poor man in the pit area. Even here, there's not. If you can afford $100,000 car, you're not poor. Okay, let's be honest about it. I can't afford it. Can you? I can't.
No, but that's not. But the motor almost costs that much now, and they're only good for, as far as I've heard, motors are good for like 675 laps, and that includes warm-ups. That includes every time you go around that track. That counts.
Yeah, but
then that motor has to be rebuilt.
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Some guys stretch them. Yes,
but
wait a second though. You can't. If you pay those guys what you pay 305s, you'll have no 410 sprint car racing.
I'm not saying you're going to. I'm just using that as an example. You're going to have to pay them more, but you don't have to give a guy $100,000 and then the guy that comes in second $20,000, and then the rest of the people get nothing.
Well,
the guy at the top does not need to make that much money, because the guy at the top that's winning that money has money to begin with. That's why they're winning. So they don't even need them. The people that are winning all the money don't even need the money. And they're the ones that are winning all the races. I mean, I could go to a race and I can pretty well tell you who has a chance of winning that race. I can tell you who's going to win. Pretty close.
A local race in Central PA, yes.
And the Outlaws.
Well, you have the difference there.
And the Outlaws are high limit. You know who's going to win. It's pretty well determined who's going to win. I mean, it's not. I mean, Macri can knock them off, or somebody sometimes, but most of the time it's going to be one of them top guys. It's going to be Gravel. It's going to be Macedo. I can't tell you who's going to win any of them. I can tell you who's going to win just about any race. And it's always going to be the guy, not always, most of the time, it's going to be the guy that has the most money, who doesn't even need the money. And then these other guys get nothing.
Do I think purses should be distributed differently? Yeah, I think if Tuscarora 50 is a big one. You know, when that went to 50,000, I know DeWeese lobbied for it to be 30 and then take the other 20 and spread it down through. And I agree with that. But look, the motor thing, guys aren't even complaining about that anymore. They're complaining about tires. The biggest thing I hear now is tires. It's all tires. It's the tire bill. People have accepted the motor. Have accepted the motor bill is what it is. And
you can't accept it because
they do,
because everybody can't afford it.
But they
it's ruining racing.
They don't complain about it. I mean, I walk through the pit area every week, and nobody's complaining about motors. They all complain about tires. It's the tire bill. That's the biggest complaint. And
there again, if people are going to give them the ridiculous amount of money they want for a tire, guess what? They're going to charge it. Yes. And if these guys that have the money in the Outlaws and the high limit, that some of them are maybe traded on Wall Street, They don't care. They do not care how much them tires cost. And these tire companies, they're just going to raise the price because they know they can get it.
I guarantee you, High Limit and World of Outlaws guys are complaining about the price of tires. They're absolutely complaining about
Well,
the price.
it doesn't seem to be doing any good because they know they can get it. They know these people have money.
Well,
And they know they can get it. The same with motors. They know these. I mean, I remember when these motors only cost like $20,000.
Look, technology goes. It's not going to change.
And now look where they're at.
It's not going to change. It's just not, because they're not going to dial back. If a business like a motor company is not going to charge less, plus your employees got to make more money. The parts cost more. How many rubber trees?
Yeah, the parts. Yeah, well, sure, they cost more because a human being,
Yes.
a human being is raising the price. That's the only way a price can go up on anything, is if a human being raises the price. That's the only way it can go up.
Yes, but
So
your labor is
you
going
can
up.
you can slice that down to greed. There's no other way to slice it and dice it.
There's a lot. How many rubber trees are in the United States?
I have no idea.
Zero. There's zero. We don't have rubber trees in the United States. So we're paying extra to get that stuff. You think that's not going to be paid?
Because they know, and that's because people have money like the Outlaws and your High Limit,
It's costing,
and they know they can get it, so they raise the price.
You can't put it all on that. Because the cost of living has gotten higher. And so people need
and who made that go higher?
That's called time. It's time.
No, that is your corporate America that's paying CEOs, outrageous amounts of money, millions and millions and millions of dollars, and giving out money to your shareholders, and that's where the money's going. That's where it's going. It ain't going to the workers.
Well, I mean, look, I understand your frustration, but I think we're getting kind of off, but it's not going to change.
I mean, these guys that have all this money, my opinion is these guys that have all the money, this World Outlaws and this High Limit, they got all this money and they put it in there, and these people know they have it, and they're going to go for it. They're going to try to get it.
Race.
I mean, that's just nature. They're going to get it, and but it's hurting everybody else down below.
Well, there's a couple teams here who have as much money as Outlaw teams.
There's a couple.
Yes.
There's a couple, but there ain't very many.
And the one constant, and then I got to get back to the chat, is as time goes on, price of living goes up, and it's capitalism. It's the way it's going to be.
It only goes up. It only goes up because a human being raises it up.
Well,
that's the only reason it goes up.
And motorsports has always been expensive. Always has been expensive.
Well, I'm not going to stick up for these guys, because I think they're ruining racing around here. I think they're ruining the local racing. I do.
I think there's bigger problems.
And the promoters don't want to do anything about it. What do? They cater to them. You got to run their rules. You got to run whatever rules they have. You're not allowed to sell T-shirts at a World of Outlaw show. It's ridiculous.
You can sell T-shirts.
Well, that's not what I heard.
Well, you heard wrong.
Maybe in the pits after the race, but you're not allowed to sell it during the race, are you?
Yeah, you just can't be in their little group. You and then,
well,
and at Williams Grove, you're allowed in the infield where they are. So yes, you can.
Well, it must have changed. Then.
No, it hasn't changed. It's been that way. I don't know what you were told. It's been that way.
Well, my opinion, and it ain't going to change, is that these
that's fair.
People that have all this money are making it more harder on everybody else, and they don't. And the purses are just not fair for the guys on the bottom. The guys at the top don't need the money, and they're the guys that are winning all the money, and they don't need it. The guys at the bottom need the money.
Well, I mean,
that's why you don't have cars. That's why you don't have cars. That's why you have three what do you have? 3 different classes of sprint cars now. You got 305s, 360s, and 4. You got to know what they're going to come up with next. 6 cylinders because people don't have money.
That's not why that happened. I can tell you those divisions were
Well, it
created.
sure is.
No, it isn't. Those divisions came around because people couldn't compete in the other ones for whatever reason. They're not good, whatever. So they decided to go make a division that they could play in, and it divides up the field. It's not all dollars and cents, because then they just turn around and outspend the people who come to that division. You have to accept at some point that racing is expensive, and racing has always been expensive. And at some point, you can blame the Outlaws, you can blame High Limit, you can blame anybody. At the end of the day, there's free choice. And you choose what you're going to do. And that's it. And people are going to charge what they're going to charge. You don't have to pay it. And just don't do it. I mean, I hate to be, but it's always been expensive. I've heard the same thing since 1984. It's just different degrees of it. First, it was
well, it wasn't expensive back when I started going in 1960, 64, and they had great racing.
Well, and they didn't have wings on the cars either at that time.
Sure, they did, but some of them did, but they were made out of plywood. But
yeah, I mean, but
they had wings, but they were made out of plywood, but they had wings.
But hey, I got to get back to the chat. I do appreciate your call.
All
right. Thank you, Tom.
All right.
Bye. All right. What else do we got? I saw that Joe Mooney was down in Australia helping out Brad Sweet. Any other Central PA folks down there working for other teams? Not that I know of. I vaguely remember Joe Mooney was supposed to go down there, and it didn't register until he went down. So no, I do not. I do know Brian Lepo's son was down there helping on the 14 car. He works for them. So other than that, I think that's probably about it. I'm getting the Brad Doty book and Speedy Bill Elliott book. To any other I should check out. I mean, any of the ones Argabright writes, I think he does a great job. He researches well, good writer. It's really engaging. All of his books have been. So I would recommend anything that he writes. Maybe an interview with French Grimes. He inspired the Race Savers. Fixed go-karts with him in the 70s. Good guy. Clock is ticking. Many thanks. Yep. No, French Grimes is definitely a guy to look at and is on the list for 2026. Do you know what TJ Stutt's plans are for 2026? I see he was in Australia recently. They're going to decide after Dirt Car Nationals. That's what he told me. That tank looked like a punted football. Thank God it wasn't near the grandstand. Yeah, I can't imagine that it won't be looked at. I mean, Australia, their governing body looks at everything. They look at everything. So I wouldn't doubt if there's some rules put in place I wouldn't doubt if it was next week. But they'll probably wait till the end of their season and kind of filter it through and give teams a grace period to meet the requirements of a new rule. So I wouldn't think that they would do that any differently, but I have no doubt it'll be looked at. I hope Dane King's shot gets a ride over here. I think a lot of people probably after watching that hope he does. Looked really good, was the most impressive Australian, had a shot to win 2 main events, I think. So, yeah, looked great. I was impressed with him as much as anyone. What else do we got? Oh, Eric's struggling. He's getting there. Maybe. Oh, Jim from Buffalo on line 2. Jim, how are you?
Oh, I'm great. I just called for an argument, okay? None of this contradiction, just an argument, right?
How are your Buffalo Bills
Well,
doing?
you know what?
I can't wait.
They played like crap. The defense, I went to the game, sat there in the rain.
Good.
It was, neither team could play offense that day, but, it's Allen choked. That's what happened. He was wide freaking open. But you know what? That's football. You win some, you lose some. But anyways, and yeah, I agree. Now at this time of year, we all want to talk sprint car racing, but there's so much speculation going on about this and that and this and that. Then yeah, we do need to talk a little bit of hockey and football just to fill in the space there until it all gets going back here in February.
I'm good with that. There is a question in the chat because I will answer this as well. It's from Lauda. Should the Bills have went for 2?
Absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree as well.
I mean, you gotta go for the win. I mean, it wasn't going to hurt them. They're already in the playoffs.
Well,
go for the win.
My thing is you drive the length of the field late in the game. The defense is on their heels. You're never going to have them more vulnerable after playing 4 quarters. You go for 2 there. The advantage,
exactly.
The advantage is all with the offense. I'm not saying
it's
going to work. Stuff happens.
We played the whole game to get hot in the last 5 minutes.
May want to work on that in the playoffs. That's all.
Yeah. And there was also another question in there about would you take a 19-year-old Celebrini or a 28-year-old Connor McDavid?
That's a tough question.
I think I'd take McDavid.
Well, I think
Celebrini's going to be good.
Oh, no, he's already good. It's not he's going to be good. He's already good. He's really good.
Yeah. I just want to put an attaboy in for my Sabres. 9 straight wins in a row. How about that?
Saw that. They're keeping you above water over there. This is why we don't have a wellness check for you, because the Sabres are keeping you afloat.
Yeah. And you know what? Going back on a couple things about what Tom says about tire prices. Until there's competition, tire prices are going to stay high. I mean, That's it. There's no 2 ways about it. I mean, are you going to lower your prices if you got nobody to compete against? Absolutely not.
Agree.
But just a couple other quick points. But racing has always been run by cubic dollars. It's how big is your pocketbook. You want to go faster? Hey, throw some money at it. It is so close to like the government. Hey, we'll just throw money at it. That'll fix it. And I see what a lot of these guys do. They'll spend thousands to get that extra 1/10 of a second, but oh well.
Look, the bottom, here's the other thing with that. Yes, it's always been expensive. It's never going to change. Money does not buy you wins, though, because there's been a lot of teams that were very well funded that didn't win. It's a combination of things.
Oh, yeah. You don't necessarily need the best guys. You need the right guys.
Exactly.
That's what makes the team.
Exactly.
But
it's good.
And somebody was looking for a good book to read about racing, and this also really talks about money. And John Oriovitz wrote a really good book about the kart Indy Racing League split.
Yes.
That happened in the late 90s. That's a hell of a read. And you want to talk about backstabbing and money and dirty pool and everything. Pretty much everything was in there.
Yeah, what was the name of the book?
Shit. I don't know the name of it, but John Oriovitz wrote it.
I'll tell you what.
I'll have to
find it and put it in the chat.
I certainly will. But anyways, hey, I just want to wish you and everybody out there a happy new year. Go Bills. And I just am living life with the Sabres. See ya.
Happy New Year, Jim. Appreciate it. Jim, always a good call. I don't know about those Sabres. We'll see how that pans out. Have you heard anything about the track surface at Perth? Looks like a good top and bottom groove. Thanks. I've not heard a lot about it from the standpoint of what they do to it, what they, I haven't really talked to anybody yet was over there this year. So when they all come back, I might, maybe I'll call Mike Hess and say, hey, what is it about that surface? So check back with me on that. I have not heard anything yet. The racing obviously just ended. I have to wait till some guys come home. Do you think if the Woo late models have a good weekend at Henry County this February and they make some facility upgrades, that we will see Woo sprints there in 2027? I think everything's on the table. I do think that these groups, whether it's High Limit or the World of Outlaws, you're sharing the pool of tracks now. So I think if a facility looks good, if it meets the requirements, whatever they are, because I don't think any of us know, then I think they'll be looked at this point. Will the Outlaws, where it fits into the schedule would be more of a problem, I think. However, I do think, yes, if a place is good and WRG can look at the World of Outlaws late models and they have a good show, everything runs well, the facility's good, sure, I wouldn't see why you couldn't add maybe a race there. Dave on line 3. Dave, how are you?
Hey, Jeremy, how you doing?
I'm hanging in there.
Tom there. I can't remember anybody that ever got into sprint car racing to make money. I've been going to them for years, and they race just as hard for $2,000 as they're racing now for $100,000.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's just at some point we got to stop blaming, the World of Outlaws or High Limit for all the problems. I mean, I've heard this for years, how they're the Outlaws are the evil empire. You know what? They don't make all the decisions. They haven't. I can point to numerous times where they haven't. The latest being the tire rule. The tire rule is not a World of Outlaws rule. That is a Pennsylvania, Ohio, Knoxville rule, because they were going American Racer. I wrote the story when it happened. The Outlaws were all ready to sign elsewhere, and they kind of got bullied into this one. So, you know what? It's an expensive sport. I do think Billy Dietrich had some very, very good points. And I just think we got to find the right mix.
Yeah. I'll say those Australians, though, where they sure do love their sprint car racing. They was saying that they were sitting there for 3 or 4 hours after the ticket gate opened, waiting on the races to start. And only other thing I got is I wish Rico would have had just a little bit more speed, but the price of admission was worth it. Watching Day and Buddy throw slide jobs at each other. That was really good stuff to watch.
Yeah, the Australian fan seems very passionate. I mean, those crowds, every time I see a race from Perth, the crowds are really good. But I don't think they have as much racing as we do. I don't think their money's divided as much as there. I think their season's a lot different than ours. I think there are a lot of different things that make what they have down there. So, but yeah, the Australians, when they come over here, they love it. So, I mean, it's big over there.
Okay, Jeremy, I'm having a hard time hearing you. I'm going to let you go. Happy New Year and good show.
Yep. Thank you. Same to you. Thank you for calling. All right. Oh, Jim from Buffalo. The book is called Indy Split, the big money battle that nearly destroyed Indy racing, by John Orwitz. Great read. There you go. If you want to read a good book, Jim from Buffalo endorses it. It's like Oprah Winfrey's Book of the Month Club. Like it. Not saying Jim's Oprah Winfrey, but you get the point. All right. Do you think if the Woo late model, oh, we did that one already. Do tracks ever have discussions with the drivers on which format works best? Sometimes. Probably the problem is in a lot of cases, some drivers will say what works best for them. I do think there's drivers out there who don't do that. I think Lance Dewease, if I'm going to ask a guy in the pit area right now what format works best, I'm going to ask Lance Dewease. If I needed a driver's input on purse structure, I'm asking Lance Dewease. I think, the late Greg Hodnett was really good at that, but I don't think, and again, I'll say if we had a governing body here made up of a couple promoters, a couple drivers, a couple people in the industry, maybe manufacturers, you'd get more of these discussions, but it doesn't happen enough. I know one of the big problems with the PA Sprint Series, the news is no drivers were asked. I hear a lot of that. No drivers were asked their thoughts or what they would do. So I think there is a divide there. I think in some cases there's some back and forth, but probably not enough. All right. Will you be checking out any of this 7,400 hours of absolutely 0.0 of the Tulsa shootout will I watch? Yeah, I have zero interest in that. No, I won't be checking it out. Hockey and football, baby. $75,000 new 410, $70,000 new 360 per one of the top engine builders in the country. Yes. I've heard of a motor that's 92,000 or 90,000 in that range. So it's not just stopping at 75,000. It's not going to change. How much did Monday's game hurt Stafford's MVP bid? I like that Lauda shakes things up. I've heard this MVP discussion. I would still vote Stafford MVP. It's closer. The fact that Drake May has only beaten one team with a winning record, albeit not his fault, it does go to schedule. Schedule has to matter when you're dealing with numbers that close. Drake May, I was wrong. I was way wrong on him. I was not high on him coming out of college. Didn't show me anything last year remotely where I would change my mind. He got Vrabel and Josh McDaniel, and it's totally different. Right situation. I was wrong. I think he's definitely 2 in the MVP hunt, but that division the Rams play in, it's brutal. So if you're splitting hairs on guys, and the numbers are close between those two, strength of schedule has to matter. Your opponents have to matter. I mean, in racing, would you rather win an outlaw show or a race at Lernerville? So still Stafford, but it's slim. Slim. I just wish somebody else was in the running to really make it interesting. It seems like they're the only two right now. What do you think of the up-and-coming young group? Braxton Bush, Owen Larson, Audrey Larson. I mean, it's so early to say. Who knows if I'm not going to get – I don't know. They're so young. They're not even on my radar yet. I mean, I know their names, obviously, but I would say Brexton Bush is probably not even going to run a sprint car. And if he does, it'll be so short. I think he'll go to asphalt. As for the other Owen and Audrey, again, they're so young. No. Should Brock Zierfoss run his Aussie 95 paint scheme over here in America? It's pretty sharp. No. Keep that over there. No. I don't. If he wants to do a throwback weekend, fine, but that stuff's expensive doing those wraps and whatnot. Plus, he has sponsors here he has to do. Got to keep them happy. Do you think Woo or High Limit would allow more than one tire manufacturer for a season? Would that be a good or bad thing? Look, it was talked about. The American Racer thing is still floating out there. Nothing's going to happen this year. I know High Limit. Brad Sweet talked about this. Him and I talked about it, and then he was public about it on Dirt Tracker's deal at Justin Fiedler. It's a possibility, not this year, but you're going to, because I think High Limits, I think their tire deal is up at the end of this year, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe they go with another manufacturer or give incentive to run one tire over another, just to sweeten it. You get extra if you run this tire. I don't know is it bad? I don't think it's bad. If you can afford to absorb the money you lose on the deal, then fine. I don't think it's bad. No. Got to do something about cost. Cost of tires is the main problem now. Do you know why sprint cars caught on in Australia, New Zealand, but not really any other countries or regions? Well, it's smaller. They don't have as many things over there. Like they don't have, the NFL. They do not have the NBA. They do not have sports is bigger. The stick and ball sports are huge here. And I don't think they're as big in Australia. I think smaller country, obviously, less people. I just don't think they have as many things taking their time or their attention. There's a lot of things to do here. So I also think I just don't think, I think guys over there are still gearheads. I don't think we have as much of that here with technology and everything. So I think there's probably a lot of reasons. And I mean, sprint car racing here, when it was on TNN, I mean, it was gaining traction. It just went away. And I mean, how big, I really don't know how big it is over there because again, it's still, you're talking scale. There's just a lot to do here. There's a lot of things pulling at attention here. It's just, I know you said in addition to US. Yeah, no, I get it. I just think we've always had guys come over from there. Jonathan Allard, Brooke Tatnell. Those are some older guys. Kerry Madsen's in his 50s. So I think I just think it was bigger. It's just something that has always been. Remember Max Dumpsney? Steve Kinzer used to go down there. So I think there's a lot of moving parts to why it's still big there. Don't think the motor builders are rolling in the money. Think the margins are kind of tight for the most. I've heard that and it's their labor. Their labor has gone up. What they have to pay people, the parts they use, everything goes up. I mean, I don't see motor builders living in mansions. I know a couple of them. They're not living in mansions. So And I think it's awful disingenuous to tell somebody how much money they're supposed to make. Would anybody in the audience like to be told you can only make so much? That's called socialism. Just saying. Why doesn't T-Mez have a national ride? He wants one. Well, I mean, does he deserve one? In a 410 sprint car? He really has no stats in a 410 sprint car. I mean, his deal is non-wing. And I mean, he ran Knoxville this year and really didn't do anything. So I don't know why anybody give him a ride. I mean, there's really no stats to back it up or warrant it. Bought a new rider for $50,000 10 years ago. $42,000 were parts. There you go. And then you have labor onto that. So there you go. New engine, just parts in around 50, 52,000. Not much range after labor. Other expenses involved, shipping it. I don't know how that goes. But yeah, I think the motor thing isn't as lopsided as people think. It's the tires. Can't stress enough. Now, in all fairness, like I said, no rubber trees in the United States. Where are they getting the material? So you got to import that. I don't know if anybody knows what's going on now, but it costs more to import stuff. Price goes up. That's getting passed along. Difference between late models and sprint tires. Oh, I mean, I can honestly say I don't know. I don't know how much of a difference there is. I can't. Sometimes you just got to say, I don't know. Eric's giggling in the background. He likes that. Out of left field here. But do you think Justin Woodall is edging toward a national series? He looked into it this year. I do think that Justin Woodall is coming along and progressing each year. I like what I see from him in Central PA. I think he's done a pretty good job in Central PA. And I know he's considered, quote unquote, a professional now because he no longer works a regular job and he's full-time racing. So I could see he's going to have to get a ride to do it, though. He can't do it in his family car. But hey, again, he's progressing and heading in the right direction. How do national teams get motors to the builders while they're on the road? They just ship them. Or somebody takes them there. I mean, same difference. Rear Hoosier tires are $350, $400 each. When I got into sprint car wrenching in 2016-20, they were $200, $220. Yeah, it's been a huge increase. How did it get the surface of Perth so smooth? Need to import the clay to the USA. We have some tracks here that are pretty good. I mean, I know everybody's on what they saw, prisoner of the moment type. We do have good surfaces here as well. But yes, it was definitely good racing. Did Buddy's performance at Perth change your gravel winning the Woo title by even 1%? Yes, by 1%. Actually, a little more. It's funny. I was watching this and seeing all the results, and I thought to myself, man, it's going to be closer than I thought. And if they hit the ground running at Volusia, I could be in trouble with my gravel championship statement. However, I am sticking with gravel, but definitely closer than it was. Buddy has a really good, he really adapts well, and it doesn't take long. And I think that's a really good quality And we saw it this past week. And it's not like it was just lean on the cushion, like a California track. It wasn't like that. Buddy is the complete driver. And boy, he adapts quick. And so it made me pause. And it definitely closed the percentage gap. So, I'm more nervous about it than I was. Definitely. What is the cost of a Hoosier right rear, and what's the cost of the American Racer right rear? Well, the American Racer, I know people are pulling numbers, I guess, from late model and modifieds. I don't know. That's where they have them. I don't know I know the right rear for a Hoosier for a 410 is in that 384 range. I think that's what it was. I'm not sure what an American Racer is. I've been in a lot of top-notch racing facilities. For my money, Oswego in Canada is for sure in the top 5, maybe even the top 3. I think Canada should get a crown jewel event. Yeah, the only problem with that is the passport stuff, is paying duty. I know teams don't take their T-shirt trailers over, not all of them. They take so many in the trailer because, again, there's a lot of cost to that. All that's got to come into play. I'm not against it. I mean, I think Oswego's hosted a $50,000 to win race before. I don't know if that was exchange rate included or not, but there's some hurdles to cross if you're going to hold a crown jewel event. And by the way, crown jewel events also they got to have history. There's only 3 of them. If you want to say a higher paying race, fine. But a crown jewel, that takes a long time to develop. How good was Barry Sanders? Just watch the film. He's one of the best of all time. Some people will say the best of all time, and it's a tough argument. I can argue it, but again, sweating it out. Would you consider hosting a live drivers roundtable, maybe before a big race or start of the season? Yeah, actually, I would. That might be something to think about at one of the off-season shows. Like Racing Extravaganza in PA, if you can get drivers there, might be something to think about. 305s race for $450 to win, $225 to start, whole purse $6,000. Why tracks schedule them so much? Cheap payout, bring big car count, money maker. But those guys spending $25,000, $30,000 on engines now too. Yeah, which is kind of stupid. It's kind of ridiculous to me. If you're looking at the biggest percentage as far as being out of whack, cost to what you win, a cost revenue analysis, 305s are out of whack. The other thing is, it's not bringing fans. 305s are not bringing fans. Track's got to make money. You got to be on with the 410s. Otherwise, it's a no-go. I think a lot about local teams in PA might not. I can't read. I think a lot of local teams in PA might not show at the PA Sprint Series races. Any thoughts? I think it's going to be a moving target. I think there's a lot of uncertainty surrounding the series. I think that you're only going to have like 3-4 guys max run the whole thing. And there's some problems with it. I think there's definitely some concerns with it. And I have no idea how it's going to go. I just think I don't think it's going to be as popular as people think, or some people think. Maybe Brad should let American Racer tire be used in NARC this year for testing. It's a thought. It's a thought, but I don't know what NARC's tire deal is either. When's that up? I think that comes into play as well. Can't breach contract. That's not a good way to go. With the 2311 NASCAR lawsuit, we learned NASCAR targeted SRX as a threat. Do you think NASCAR moved the IRA race to what was the normal 410 Knoxville National, seeing dirt as a new threat? No. And I'll tell you why. The Knoxville Nationals moved their date. The Knoxville Nationals moved back a week. Last year it was like the 9th, 10th. This year it's like the 15th, 16th. The way the calendar is, this happens at Knoxville. So I don't know. I think that's way off base. T-Mez versus Tanner Holmes. Tanner Holmes. And I'm not talking about YouTube. Motors are expensive, but at the end of the night, you still have an engine, a tire is used up, but I'm not bought either. Well, I mean, again, yes, I would agree with you on what you have as opposed to what you don't. You can sell the engine. You're not selling that tire for very much. Racing fuel was $6 a gallon in 2001. It's $18 now. Yeah, hear a lot about fuel as well. Still not as much as tires. Everyone wants open the tire rules. It's all about money in tracks' pockets with the company contracts. Till that changes, racer matches beats Hoosier, it will be Hoosier. Yes, the money has decreased a little bit to tracks, though. I think tracks, and this is a slippery slope. I think some tracks have gotten lazy promoting. So I think they're looking for as much incoming money as they can get, and it makes their job easier. I don't think, I mean, I can give many examples. I'm not going to at this point. But, I mean, look, a track's got to make money. And I think there's a lot of moving parts to this making money thing. I think it's promoting. I think it's streaming. I think it's finding the right mix with the shows you hold. I think it's the purses you pay. I think there's a lot, what you do in your community to try and get people to come in. I think there's a lot of moving parts. I think the tire thing is cost to the teams is huge. It's a huge issue. But as far as what the tracks have, where they get their money, tires are a small part of it. I don't know what the answer is because I think there's still a lot of moving parts. But I would sacrifice some money, depending what that amount is, because it really hasn't been released how much tracks are getting. I know some tracks get $30,000 a year for their tire deal. So that's a huge chunk of change. And you could say, well, they shouldn't take it. Well, that's easy to say when we're not paying the freight every week. Again, a lot of moving parts. That's all I'm saying about it. It's a lot of moving parts. I understand people being frustrated. I understand the teams being frustrated. Yet I understand why the tracks do it. I don't think there's a wrong or right answer to it. Thoughts on Detroit Lions 2025 season, or do we only talk about specific teams here? No, I think the Detroit Lions, it was a huge failure this year, and I think it really showed how good those two coordinators worked within the framework with Dan Campbell. I definitely think losing Ben Johnson was a huge loss. Like, their play calling wasn't as good. I don't think the execution was good. I think coordinators matter. Coordinators matter, and I think we saw that with Detroit this year. I'll talk about any team. Do you think those sliders that were being thrown around at Perth were a bit aggressive? It's a new way of rate. I mean, Corey Day and Buddy, and they all cleared. At this point, we have got to accept the fact that slide jobs are different now. These guys, these younger guys, race differently. Buddy didn't get, Corey Day and Buddy did it with no problem. And King shot. Buddy just turned back underneath him. It's give and take, and there was no contact. So you could say a bit aggressive, but choices were made, and I think Buddy did fine. Corey Day obviously lost a tire last night. Could have taken a lot of money out of his pocket, but I'm not gonna say I see that every week at this point. So I'm used to it. No. Jeremy shouldn't be making tires. Although maybe make some money, but no. I don't want that. I would not want to walk into a speedway after building tires. No way. How much do they write off for expenses on their taxes? Who's they? Some of the loopholes closed for teams. That was a thing years ago, and they said some of the tax regs changed. So I don't know. Is the Grove, this has been a common one. Is the Grove losing Crown Jewel status because not all the drivers are showing up? A bunch missing this year? Not yet. Because a bunch were there. We were missing Rico and Brad Sweet. Tyler Courtney was injured. Maybe he would have been there. All the other guys were pretty much there. Corey Day was supposed to be there. He had a conflict. I think they scheduled a race for him on asphalt. So that was... So it's not enough yet. They haven't lost enough of them yet where I'm dropping them. Jeremy, if you could pick your roundtable guest for a PA discussion, who would they be? Lance DeWeese would be number one. I would pick, and I would tier it, meaning I would not take all top guys. I would take a Kyle Moody or Tyler Ross. I would take a Lance DeWeese. I might take Danny Dietrich because he comes from it, and hear me out, from a parts standpoint. He runs a business. Don Kreitz Jr. I would take guys like that. Guys who have been around a while, who've seen. If you start taking young drivers, they really haven't seen enough yet. So I'm going to go with older guys who I know are level-headed. And like I said, Dietrich comes from the parts standpoint. Kreitz can speak to that as well. Then I'm getting a Kyle Moody, Tyler Ross, kind of your mid guys who don't run 80 races. And then maybe taking a guy who runs like 20-some, maybe a Chad Trout who's supposed to run 20 this year, or somebody like that. And he's been around in different divisions over the years too. So that's pretty much where my group would go. I would definitely spread it around to different guys. I'm not going to just get top tier guys who can sit there and, it's got to be, everybody's got to be well represented. What are Brock Zierfoss's plans for next season? True Outlaw schedule or follower series? True Outlaw schedule as of now. I don't know when he's coming back from Australia. I would assume it's soon, but I expect him to be down at Dirt Car Nationals and True Outlaw schedules. What I'm hearing, I do know he's asked for a couple schedules around here, so I expect very much like a Macri Motorsports type of schedule. '49ers Seahawks. Who takes the number 1 seed in the NFC? Seahawks. I will say, though, I'm not a Purdy guy. But I watched that game Monday or Sunday night. Very smart offense. They have smart guys making audibles. Their fullback's really good. McCaffrey's excellent. But Brock Purdy, smart quarterback. I don't think he is the most gifted. I don't think he throws it he doesn't throw it the farthest. He doesn't throw it in the tightest window. He's not. But he does a lot of things decent and smart. So I walked away from that 49ers game impressed, but their defense is god-awful. Because I do not think a lot of the Chicago offense, plus they were down their best. Arguably, Adunze is 1A on that team as a receiver. They were down him, and they put up 31 on him. The one was a pick six, which wasn't a good decision by Purdy. But I'm going to lean Hawks. Although Darnold has not been good in these situations. So we'll see. Does the revenue the tracks receive from streaming offset the empty seats? I don't know every tracks contract, but most times I would say no. Because I know what it works out to. I know what the number works out to here. And I will say this, just let me do some quick figuring. Streaming's a complicated thing that people. Oh, and by the way, I just forgot. I forgot, and this is my fault. We're going to give away tickets to the $5 night in June at Babs Motor Speedway. It's my fault. So we're going to do it every 15 minutes. We did it last week. The tickets will be sent out. They will be sent out as soon as they get they're actually getting tickets made for this event. So they have the 3 winners from last week. So we're going to do 3. We're going to do one. We're going to do one at 9 o'clock, 9:15, and 9:30. So call in if you want 2 $5 tickets to the Sprint Car Show at Babs Motor Speedway in June. Okay, that's my fault. I apologize. So 9 o'clock, call in to Eric, tell him your name, your address, and they'll get it out to you. That's my fault. So, and we'll probably do it again next week. So I'm ahead of the game. Streaming's a complicated thing. Again, but let me do some figuring here quick. If let's say you get $2,000 on average, $2,000 on average from a streaming company, you divide that by a $25 ticket, that's only 80 fans. So I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no in most cases. Sorry I'm late. Everybody missed Sugar Bear. I apologize to Colton and them at Babs. Yeah, I drew a blank on it. My fault. So we still have 258 people listening now. So again, if you're in central Pennsylvania or outside the area, you want to get $5 tickets to that $5 event. They're going quick. It's going to be a popular event. It's 410 Sprint Cars, regular purse. I expect good guys are going to be there. And you can get in for $5. And 5 minutes until we're giving some away. Can you replay the first caller for Sugar Bear? No. He can listen to the replay. Had the roundtable at EMMR. Yeah, they already do that. I think that Dave Hare does a good job with them. And I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Might do one. That's actually a good idea. Will Hoosier be introducing a new tire construction to start the 26th season, or will it be introduced later in the season? They have shelved that for now, and I could see something coming out later in the season or next year. Something will have to be done, but it will not be to start 2026 as of now. How is purse money taxed in sprint car racing? Well, I mean, the team's going to claim it, and it goes to them. So that whatever their earnings are with that team as a business, and go from there. I would assume it's like anything else. It's income, 28 to 33%. Does streaming profits equate to how many people tune in? I do not know the metric they use, but obviously, you know what you can tell. Okay, if you have a deal, okay, especially now, all the deals have been renegotiated. When they first came out, they had an idea of how many people watch, say, Speed Shift, and then they could figure out how much they would pay per race based on those viewership. Look, Port Royal's worth more than, a track somewhere in the Midwest. Port Royal's worth more than NARC on the West Coast because more people are interested in it. They host high limit events. It's just a bigger profile. Your profile goes into it, and definitely how many people go and view the track, whether it be on streaming or at the track, comes into play. There's a couple different factors. Uh-oh, Eric's staring at me. Jeremy, what do you think of the High Limits International at Perth? Sugar Bear's late. Now he's going to answer. He's going to ask all the questions that people asked. Were you cutting hair, or what were you doing out there? I liked it. I thought it was good. I'll just recap. I thought there were some good storylines. I think Buddy is tremendous. Corey Day, again, same thing. They just showed up there and were acclimated to it right away. And really it wasn't a California. It wasn't a big, huge cushion where they can lean on. They're just that good. I thought Dane King shot. I mean, he had the best average finish for the 3 shows. I thought he was really good. I think that Australians have to have a good showing in that event for it to keep kind of building. The locals got to feel like they have a chance, and he definitely gave them that. I think Jock Goodyear had a couple good runs as well. Manders had a couple good runs. So, no, I think it was all good. I don't think there was one negative. It looked like they had a great crowd. It seems like they got done. They stuck pretty close to the schedule. It had an event feel to it. So I thought it was okay. That was good. There's also a story out there that it injected $3 million into the economy. So that's never bad. Rob on line 6. Rob, how are you?
Hey, how are you doing?
Not bad. Not bad.
Good. I just wanted to give you a call, Jeremy, as we close out 2025, and just thank you for the amazing content that you've been providing. All the sprint car fans out there. I drive typically 2.5 to 3 hours every time I go to a sprint car race in Central PA, and I just really appreciate the amazing content that you do provide, the deep dives, the people that you interview, the stories. I think the common denominator that I found is that the people that you're interviewing have amazing stories, genuinely seem like great people, and a lot to learn from it as well. So even today, I was wanted to go on maybe a 30-minute walk with my dog, but I was out in the cold listening to the whole Tyler Swank interview today. So I just wanted to thank you and encourage anyone, and I've never met you before. I don't know you personally, but just encourage everyone to go and subscribe to you, because we spend all the money we spend going to races, paying for tickets. I think we all have to look in the mirror and say, hey, are we contributing to all the content that you provide? So just really wanted to thank you, and I look forward to a great 2026 as well.
Well, Rob, thank you very much. I appreciate that. If you ever see me at the races, just introduce yourself. I'm more than happy to talk to you. Again, I appreciate the kind words, and yeah, I'm looking forward to 2026 as well.
Yep, definitely. Thanks again, Jeremy, and have a great Happy New Year.
Yep, Happy New Year to you as well. And again, thank you very much.
You got it. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. It was a nice call. I appreciate that. Roundtable with Steve Beitler would be favorable. Sharp guy in all fields. Yeah, Steve Beitler, one of the best deep dives we've done. And a lot of them have been good. It's just he was able to do the one where he could hit on so many topics, and then the second one just strictly on the Wolfgang incident. Just really enlightening, opened up about all that. I thought it was sensational. Steve Beitler, definitely a guy that I'll be talking to again at some point. It was very informative, and just definitely has touched a lot of different aspects of dirt track racing. If you could pair one driver with one crew chief, who would it be? I think we have good ones now. I mean, I think right now, Philip Dietz, Macedo, Kofoid, and Buswell, and I think we have a lot of good ones now. I that's hard to say because you just don't know until they're actually together if it's going to work. I mean, look, even Schatz and Barry, we don't know if that's going to work. We think it will because it's two old school guys and they're kind of no nonsense, but we don't know for sure. So that's really tough. I think we have some good ones now who are, like I said, Gravel and Cody Jacobs, Buswell and Kofoid, Philip Dietz and Carson Macedo. And then you have Ricky and Rico. We saw what they did last year. I think you have a lot of good ones now. Talking tires. Why Goodyear get out? Cost versus exposure? No, I think they felt slighted by the Hoosier deal, and they said, we're just not doing it. And I know they recently just looked at coming back, and then cost became an issue. Expense. So the Goodyear thing's gone, I think. And the fact that they revisited it, I was surprised. So I think it's American Racer and Hoosier or bust at this point. By the way, do you want to say we got 10 minutes to our next giveaway? Babs Motor Speedway, June $5 event. And it's going to be good. I expect a ton of people there. Tickets are being sold. We're going to give 2 away at 9:15 and again at 9:30. All you have to do is call in to Eric, give your name and your address, and they will be sent out to you. All right, what else do we got? How come gravel avoids Australia, Capitani, Oski? I don't think he avoids them. I mean, Australia, he just he has a newborn. I don't think, as far as the Capitani, he's run the Capitani before. I think they have a good handle on Knoxville, and they don't want to go out there and wreck stuff. And Oski, same thing. The big prize is the Knoxville Nationals, and I think they prep for that. And I don't think they want anything to get in the way of that. I think I just think that they focus. I just think they focus on the events that are the most important to them. I don't think he's scared to run any of them by any means. They're the best team in the country. Mike on line 7. Mike, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you, sir?
Not too bad. Not too bad. What do you got?
Well, sprint car tires have always intrigued me. Just the fact that you have to run what they tell you to run. When I was growing up, I believe, I'm talking about the 80s, 90s, you could run any tire you wanted. Is that correct?
Yeah, you could choose. Yes. And then it got into tire deals, and they had different compounds you could run within the one company. Right. Now you do, okay, but it's really limited.
All right. So when you say tire deals, and that's where I was headed anyway, the series decides, whoever, Outlaws, whoever decides we're running American Racer. They decide that, and so you have to run that.
Yeah, I mean,
correct?
Yeah, I think there's 2 choices. Is it 2 or 3 choices? But the one nobody would run, and then the other 2, I think guys gravitate to one or the other, and there's not a lot of difference. Not a lot of difference.
All right, I'm confused now. So if I have an Outlaws car, what kind of tire am I running?
Well, High Limit and the Outlaws, it's Hoosier. It's all the same. In sprint car racing, it's all the same. It's Hoosier.
Okay, so
yes,
that's where I'm confused. I have to run a Hoosier.
Yes.
Okay, because that series has signed a contract with Hoosier.
Correct.
And they get Hoosier gets a bunch of money.
Yeah,
from that series.
Yeah, they're going to sell tires, obviously, to that series.
Yeah, but it's a deal with the series. So the series and the tire manufacturer lock in the tire. Drivers have no choice.
No, they cannot run anything but the prescribed Hoosiers that are available. Correct.
Okay.
Same with racetracks.
Okay, fantastic.
Same with racetracks.
Yeah. Right. And that is kind of trickled down. If I run at Lincoln, do I have to run a Hoosier?
Yes.
Because Lincoln says so?
Yes.
And they've signed a contract with Hoosier also.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So it's impossible unless you got the salesman, slickest salesman ever, that American Racer or who else was it back in the day? Who did I used to watch?
Goodyear.
Goodyear's, yeah, that's right. Years and years ago, Goodyear was the sprint car tire. I forgot.
Yep.
So it's like everybody. Okay, next question. Does every single team in the pits pay the same amount at the tire truck?
Yes.
That's a yes?
Yes. From what I'm told, yes.
Okay.
There's no
Do you
more.
know if that's a
There's no more. There used to be tire deals with individual teams. That has gone out the window. That no longer happens.
okay? So that's where I was headed. You got it. So like, I just wanted to make sure that like the the gravels and that type
Yep. No.
aren't they're not getting tires given to them. They're paying the same price as Mike Cutright does, right?
Yep.
All right, I'm done.
Okay. Look, if you want to know how Hoosier now, look, there's some contracts that obviously contracts, they expire, and then you can obviously negotiate. I think High Limit's contract is up after this year, so we'll see what happens.
Right, and the odds are on anything changing pretty friggin' slim.
I think if anybody's going to do it, it'll be High Limit, because they also have dancing partners now that they have NARC, All-Stars, some of the tracks that they go to. I do know a couple of the tracks they go to would be interested in switching or opening things up. You got to have dancing partners. That you can't do it on your own. You're going to have somebody has to go with you. And
absolutely.
So I do think for people who want two options, I think there's some hope, more than there has been in years past. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's absolutely one of my favorite things. Back again. Oh, this guy's going to this compound and this guy's going to that brand, but this compound, I think it makes it more interesting for the knowledgeable fan.
Oh, I think it even does for the average fan, because you got comers and goers. If you get a tire, I would be okay if Hoosier had a hard and a soft where you could pick one of them, and the soft ones are going to go like hell at the beginning, and then the hard ones come on late. You've got to have comers and goers in a sprint car race. These tires now, they don't have that as much. So I think you either got to have another company, or you got to have different compounds, which is also being looked at just to make guys have a choice when they're faster at the beginning or the end of a race, if that makes sense.
Yep, absolutely. I agree.
So
I think that to have absolutely, you're reading my mind. I think that it's incomprehensible to me that you have a team has absolutely no input at all on that. Now, and they're paying how much? Again, I'm at Lincoln. How much is Mike paying for a right rear? 400?
380. Last I heard, it's like 384, 374, something like that. It's close.
All right.
It's
Everybody's paying.
Yes.
If we're a Mike or I'm Danny Dietrich, I'm paying that.
Yep.
And we're sure about that? That's a law or something, do you know?
No, there is no law, but I mean, look, Danny's also a dealer. So I don't know if he gets a deal or not, because he's a Hoosier dealer. But
well, I'm not calling out Dan.
Yeah,
Dan's I'm not calling.
No. I don't. But from everything I gather, and I know the one tire guy who goes around the tracks, yes, there's no more deals with teams. There's none of that.
All right. Okay. Again, I'm done.
All right, Mike. Thank you very much for calling. I appreciate it.
You got it. Have a good night.
Yep, you too. All right. We have Bob on line 8. Bob, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. I just wanted to wish an early Happy New Year's. And, well, I stayed up all night, watched that race last night. They were starting to make me a grumpy old man. Kill the fireworks, all this stuff. Turn the lights on and race the cars and let me go to bed.
What? Wait a minute. Where do you live? Not exactly. Like what?
Des Moines,
state?
Iowa.
You're in Des Moines, Iowa. So you're an hour behind. You stayed up all night. Why didn't you just go to bed and wake up?
Because I ain't that smart.
No. Okay, then.
Yeah, I watched it from Well, I did lay down from about midnight to 2, and then I got up and stayed up the rest of the night.
All right, well, I mean, God bless you. I mean, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, well, I shouldn't have. But I did have a question about the race.
Go ahead.
I guess it must be legal when McFadden come out and drilled the holes in that guy's header, so
Yeah,
he
that
can keep running.
that was odd, and I don't know the rules in Australia. I don't know. Their rules are a little different than ours, so I'm not sure. But they let it go, so I would assume it's okay.
Well, that kind of kills the muffler and everything rule then, don't it?
Hey, I mean, I have no clue on that, and I don't know enough about their rules to say either way. I would assume it's okay, but or McFadden wouldn't have done it because I'm sure if anybody knows the Australian rules, it's him. So, you all right, Bob? Up. I think we might have lost Bob. Yep, I think we lost Bob. Well, Bob, thank you for calling. I appreciate it. I think that's the first guy we've lost. How do you feel about the points format used for the Weikert weekend? Other tracks, it works great, but Port is not known for passing in heat races. It's okay. I don't like when you earn the most points and then you have to draw for your spot. What's the point of why do points then? If you're going to earn the most points, you earn the pole. I know coming off Billy Dietrich's thing, I understand that, but you have racing all night and you get points all night and you earn the most and then you end up starting 10th. That makes no sense to me. So but I'm okay. I mean, look, you got to have a track where you have passing. If you're going to do any format where you're inverting, you've got to have and you're doing points. You've got to have a track surface that allows for passing. Okay, we saw it at Houston. It's not Buddy Kofoid didn't have a problem, but a lot of other guys did. So it's definitely either the surface has got to be a little different or the format needs to kind of be tailored to what the track's going to give. Could we see an Aussie invasion in PA this summer? Newton has been a frequent visitor. McFadden and mention of Williams also coming to PA in 26. Any more names you know of? What's his name? Jesse, his son. Is it Attard? He could be in as well. He's been in the last few years. So I think it's great. I mean, having McFadden here, I think is going to be really good for Speed Week. And I think if you have Newton and you have, William, if you have Callum here and his stuff, I think that's something that's real good. I mean, it's good for PA. And I think it's anytime you can add cars and interest for fans, guys who the fans don't see very often. I think it's a home run. Oh, Sugar Bear loves it. Sugar Bear loves it. I like, and before we get carried away, this is for Sugar Bear. I'm not saying he's going to win. I'm saying I think it's going to be better than before because he'll be using his own stuff and he's seen the tracks already. That's all I'm saying. They have drilled headers in the States before too, but I believe it has to be damaged for that to be allowed. Good deal. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. should not be tire choice. Should not the tire choice be up to the teams and not the tracks or the series? Well, they set the parameters and you got to choose between I think there's like 2 compounds or something, but the one no one would ever use, and they all end up using the same thing anyway. So by the way, we got 10 minutes yet left before we pick another caller. Call in, talk to Eric, 9:30, giving away 2 tickets to the $5 sprint car race in June at Baps Motor Speedway. All right. It's been almost an entire show and no one has mentioned merch. I thought I was going to make it through. I'm making a call this week about merch. I got a deal working. I got a deal. Got to get merch. The big question on tires is, can American Racer keep up with the demand? If not, the whole conversation is not worth considering. And I think that is a fair point. I've often questioned that. But again, I don't think it's going to be across the board where everybody just switches to American Racer. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think you're going to have kind of an easing into the process. I've heard that they've upped their game on the manufacturing side of things. So they're prepared for it, if I could say the word right. They're prepared for it. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know if it comes to fruition or not. Whatever the tire maker, they just need to make different compounds so the teams can pick and choose soft, medium, hard. I agree with you. And I guess Hoosier was looking at different compounds. They had a couple teams test. Brad Sweet tested, Buddy Kofoid tested, and they just shelved it for now. Maybe it's an inventory thing. I could see them maybe something at the end of the year or next year. Any update on the Hod situation? Interesting, still no announcement, even with all the knowledge of him going to the 18. Yeah, it's kind of odd. It is kind of odd. But maybe they're just not going to announce anything. Maybe they're just going to show up at Volusia. I mean, that'd be odd, but I think something will come out in the next few weeks. Do you think the Skinner Jari trade will work out in the Penguins' favor? No, I think. Well, he's hurt now in Edmonton, I guess. No, I actually like Jari more than I like Skinner. But Pickard did a great job last night, 41 saves against, I mean, that I was a miracle because Pickard usually gives up 4 goals a game. So, and then they have a kid named Ingram who has come up and has been pretty good now. So, Edmonton winning an ugly game last night. But Jari's better than Skinner, I think. Jeremy, who are the Australian standouts from the Perth event? Will any get opportunities in America? Dane Kingshot was, to me, the best overall from Australia. I think Jock Goodyear looked decent at times. Caden Manders looked decent. Normally, you expect, Kerry Madsen, Jamie Veal, or James McFadden, and they really weren't factors. So, I mean, Dane Kingshot, I don't know if he has. I know there's an interview out there. I just haven't had a chance to look at everything yet. I mean, I love to see him in the States. I mean, again, these are guys we saw across the pond, and it draws fans. That's where streaming is good. We saw it that's where streaming, I think, helps. We saw these guys in Australia at Perth. Now when they come over, oh, hey, going to go see him tonight. So I do not know if Dane Kingshot has a ride over here or not. I mean, we'll get, Callum's coming over and his stuff. We're going to have James come over and run the 21. Jamie Veal will probably be here at some point. And Attard will be here. So, and Ryan Newton will likely, be here as well. So we'll see. I know he doesn't like them, but a Jeremy bobblehead would be cool. No. Nobody wants. No. No, we're not doing a Jeremy bobblehead. Come on. What do you think about? I guess trying to picture me making a bobblehead. Sorry about that. What do you think about just pull a pill and line up the heats instead of qualifying order? They do it at the beginning of the year here. That's what they do when. When they don't have points, they don't have time trials. I don't know. I'd hate to see luck just determine everything. So I don't know about the pulling pill thing. Does J-Mac win a PA Speed Week show? Ooh, good question. Good question. I think he gets one. I'm going to say he gets one. Yep. He wins one. Jeremy, spend a night in jail or go to the Tulsa shootout. Spend a night in jail. I'm not going to the Tulsa shootout or the Chili Bowl for all. I would go to the Chili Bowl maybe for all 6 nights, but the Tulsa shootout, absolutely. I'd spend a week in jail instead of go to the Tulsa shootout. Just no way. No way. There's Sugar Bear. You can tell Sugar Bear's in there. He's going to do one thing versus the other. Blackhawks down 2. The big surprise. Connor Bedard's not playing. Won't be back until 2026. They are lost without him. I think it was like last night when you took Celebrini got hit under the visor with a puck, and he was out of the game for a while. And that offense looked lost. They were on life support. He came back in, totally different. So, yeah, I'm not surprised about the Blackhawks. What is your New Year's resolution? I really don't. I don't believe in if you're going to do something, I don't need a time of year to do it. I know that sounds probably bad. I am just not a New Year's resolution guy. I think probably, and this isn't a New Year's resolution, it's just something I do every year in the off season. I evaluate my processes of doing things for the website, YouTube, the business overall, and I kind of try and do things better, streamline stuff, but it's not a resolution. You don't need a time of year to make changes. I will say the high limits. Event at Perth was average, not impressed. What did you want? So Sugar Bear, what did you want? What would have impressed you? A clown? Did they need somebody dropping money out of a helicopter? The racing was good. I don't know what more you want out of it. What do you want out of it? So, what else do we got? According to Sprint Car Hub, there are quite a few differences between Australia and U.S. sprints. Will his stuff be legal, or has he got to make some changes? I assume he'll have to make some changes. But no, I recommend that Sprint Car Hub video on YouTube. Very informative. I think 70,000 people watched it. I thought it was very good. I would encourage anybody to go check it out. I'm actually disappointed I didn't think of it, but I also am not in Australia. So, anyone remember where J-Mac made his USA debut? Even better, what car? I believe somebody put in there, it was a J&M 55. Somebody said the 3G. I can't remember back that far. I know he came here. I know when his PA debut might have been the Highlands number 3. He ran the Highlands car here. But that, I don't think that was his first ride by any stretch. All right, what else do we got? I'm getting a 1 minute sign. That means Eric's confused. Well, he's a 49ers fan. He can't help himself. It's hard to believe somebody in Pennsylvania is a 49. Of course, I'm a Dallas fan, so. We're having phone line issues and are unable to select a 9:30 winner. What's your problem? He just shrugs. Is it the wind? We have a lot of wind here. Eric needs a raise. Eric got paid today. I paid him today. Eric needs a raise. Yeah, I figured that one was going up. He does do a great job. He does a great job. Callum is the Austin McCarl of Australia. Okay. I know he's good at Perth, suppose. You know, I mean, that's where he's shined in the past. So now my daughter's calling me. To make up for our phone line issues, we will give an extra set of tickets away next week. Sounds good. Just give me a nod, Eric. Did we get winners for the first 2? Yes, we did. All right. Thank you, guys. And what else do we got here? Let's wrap up some questions. I know we got some in the chat. According to Sprint Car, we already got that one. My streaming idea is a local blackout. If you live within 50 miles, the local blackout doesn't work. We've done it. You can do it, and there's ways around it. So the local blackout deal, it's been done. We've done it I should say Dirt Track Digest has done it. Other places have done it. There's an easy workaround for it. So it really doesn't work. All right. What else do we got? What? Okay, have the D15A right rears and medium right rears 99% always run. D15A softer regardless of track conditions, unless mandated by sanctioning body. USAC mandates the medium. See, that's what I mean. The people are just in a box too much. We didn't have that in the past. Kyle Larson wins. Kyle Larson's money is so exciting to see. That doesn't faze me at all. Beat him. Just beat him. That's it. Just beat him. Have you thought about doing a 50-50 drawing during your Tuesday show? You need a small chance. Gaming license to do that, and that's expensive, especially over the internet. I do not have a small games and chance license. Jeremy High Limit allowed a shock adjuster. Any info from drivers on this? A lot of people thought it wasn't a big deal throughout the whole year. They didn't think it was a big deal. I didn't hear anybody come to me and go, whoa, that made a huge difference. So I don't think it was. We'll see. I mean, we'll see if they allow more in the future. Happy and healthy New Year to all. I agree. Thank you to everybody. I appreciate it. All year, the live show has been great. I enjoy doing it. I've gotten 90 at 9 ideas from it. I've gotten deep dive ideas from it. I appreciate everyone who's called in and who's and everybody who has entered the chat. All right, that's a wrap for 2025 SprintCarUnlimited.com live show. As I said, thank you to everybody who's made this show successful. I appreciate it. We're going to continue it throughout 2026 on Tuesday nights, same time, unless I have to move it to a Monday for whatever reason, if I'm doing something. But what is Sugar Bear? I agree with that one 100%. I have zero interest in the Tulsa shootout. Barely any interest in the Chili Bowl other than the Sprint Car guys. But again, thank you to everyone. I appreciate it. We'll see you next week.